Yes, what's happening, people? And welcome back to Gavgoesin. Guys, it's been a mad day today, man. Mad day. The connection issues. I think there's something up with obviously I'm on StreamYard, but I think there's something up with this. Guys, bear me 1 minute. Bear me 1 minute, because this is just messing up. It's been an absolute nightmare today so far. But you know, when things like this happen, we have to keep the stream going and keep reaching the targets that I've set out. So yeah, just bear me, guys, just 1 minute. I'm gonna just try and put this up again. As I said, man, it's been mad. Big up to Gamer, big up to Sham, big up, bro, big up, man, each and every time. Um, Guys, just bear me 1 minute. I shouldn't be too long. Guys, how are you all doing anyway? Everyone doing good? Everyone enjoying the weather? All right, let's see if this. Right, yeah, we're back. Right, yeah, so guys, sorry about that. Yeah, man, just it's been a mad day, man. I've got I've got connection issues. StreamYard's playing up. I literally just checked my emails as well, guys. I checked it literally about half an hour ago, and obviously it's my bad. I didn't check it. I should have checked it earlier. But Flawless can't actually come through, guys. Flawless has had something to do. So yeah, so no Flawless today. But guys, listen, we keep it going, man. We never stop. The work, the grind never stops, man. So as I said, if you guys were expecting Flawless, he's not coming on today, unfortunately. But it is what it is. But we just keep it going. So as I said, big up to Sham, big up to Reluctant Gamer, and as I said, we're gonna get through the stream. So I've done a bit of a different one, So we're gonna go through the latest transfer news today. Um, yeah, Gamer, yeah, exactly, man. Hopefully next time, But yeah, something's come up, or he's got something else to do. So it is what it is. But yeah, we carry on and we try and hit the target of as I said, of growing the channel, man. And as I said, you guys are always here, and that's what matters. And as I said, from a day of disappointment and and of sorrow, we would say, from the news of Diogo Jota. Obviously, we get back into the swing of things now, and yeah, as I said, I think we're going to go through some of the news, and then again, you guys let me know what you think. But it's mad because today, obviously, I haven't had time to look at my phone. Really, I haven't had time to. Um, I haven't had time to see what is the news. I think I've only just seen some of the news just literally within the last 20 minutes. But I've put a couple of notes down just what I want to talk about it. And obviously, if you guys want to have your say as well, then by all means, yeah, have your say and we'll get into it. So Sham says, so no Flawless today. He's running his own stream at the moment as news came out about United player sales. Yeah, exactly. So obviously, yeah, he's got to do his channel. So yeah, it is what it is, but we got to build over here. That's the main thing. So yeah, Nico Williams signing a new deal at Athletic Bilbao, and you know what? It is surprising, because I think Barcelona had their eyes set on Nico Williams. Obviously, the relationship that Nico Williams has with Lamine Yamal as well, and definitely Barcelona were looking to make that Spanish, the Spanish wing at Barcelona. But Williams has signed a new contract due to apparently some registration issues. And I think not only is he signed a new contract, the buyout clause is now higher. And I believe that I reckon he'll be on more money as well, Big up to Jerry Scahill, first time on the channel. Big up, Jerry. So yeah, as I said, Nico Williams signed a new contract, and as I said, it's I mean, what to make of it? I think Barcelona's two top targets, Luis Diaz and Williams, obviously both of them looking like they're not coming now. And I think does it open the door for Rashford? So as Jerry says, Rashford to Barca. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I think everything points towards that happening. But I think we're most probably looking at a loan deal, and I can see the loan deal being the loan deal happening now. I think the fact that those two players looking like they're definitely not going now, especially definitely Nico Williams. I know that Luis Diaz, obviously there was talk about Diaz, Liverpool saying he's not for sale, and I think everything points towards Rashford, and I think Rashford will definitely take a pay cut to go to Barcelona as well. Obviously, as we know, Barcelona is his dream. But I think, everything points towards that now. I think in terms of Rashford, I think the fact that Rafinha and obviously Yamal are on the flanks. I know they've brought in Rooney Bagaji as well to be the backup to Yamal. But I wonder if, you would think that Rashford will be more of an impact sub, someone that can cover as a striker and someone that can obviously play from the left as well. Big up to Barbara Joseph. Big up every time. And as I said, I think Rashford to Barca is pretty much nailed on. I don't see any other player that Barca have been linked with or likely to go there, And I think with Barcelona, we're looking at Nico Williams, I believe, to be a starter, I think with Rashford, it's more of a squad option because I don't see Rashford starting. Definitely not ahead of Lewandowski as a striker, and not ahead of Rafinha in the positions that he can play. So as I said, man, I think Rashford now, he's looking likely, and obviously there's other news which we'll get onto as well, and I think definitely the Rashford now saga looking like he's going to be going to Barca. But again, there is other things I want to get into, but I'll get into that slightly after once I've been through some of the other news. But yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure you guys have, Nico Williams signs a new contract at Athletic Bilbao. I think his release clause has gone up to something near 90 million euros now. And for sure, I think he'll be on even more money. So if I'm right, I think he might be their highest paid player. And I reckon for him to sign a new contract, I reckon his contract is probably increased along with the release clause. So, it is what it is, man. But Barca will be gutted. But again, looking like it's Rashford. So Jerry says, United released a statement today, no loan sale, only 40 million. I can't see Barcelona parting with 40 million for Rashford because, and again, if United are saying they don't want no loan fee, but they want a straight 40 million, I think everyone needs to remember Barcelona's financials. I think Barca are not going to pay the 40 million. I think Barca would want to take him on loan to see how he gets on. And I'm looking at Barca doing that because Barca will be looking at the fact that does Rashford figure in their main lineup? And for me, it's touch and go really. I don't think he comes in and commands a start. No way. So I think based on that, Barca will be looking to, I believe, cover his wages, but I don't think they're going to pay the 40 million and then pay his wages. There's no way I can see that happening, and United might want that, but unless it's a straight loan with United covering part of his wages, I think that's the best possible route for Rashford to go there. I don't see Barca saying, look, we're going to pay 40 million to United and then cover his wages. Obviously, again, that would be great business for United, getting 100% profit from Rashford, and getting him off the wage bill as well. But I can't see it, but we'll have to wait and see. Big up to DXR, big up for coming on, and big up to Daniela as well. DXR says he'll take 32 million. Again, I think with Rashford, there isn't too much that you wouldn't take because what people have to realize a bit about Rashford is that Rashford's on a higher wage, which means that 40 million, anything under 40 million, United should be looking to take because it's full profit from the sale because of him coming through the youth. So as I said, for me, they just need to decide if they're going to loan him out and pay part of his wage, possibly with an obligation to buy, which I can't really see. But I don't see Barcelona coming in paying 40 million. No way. No way can I see that, But yeah, moving on. Obviously, Newcastle are looking to bid for Anthony Elanga. Obviously, as we know, the 45 million bid was rejected, and Newcastle looking to come in with a 55 million bid. And I do believe 55 million, maybe with probably a potential add-ons as well. I do believe, that'll be the bid to secure the player. For me personally, I just can't understand how we're in a window now. We're seeing the likes of Anthony Elanga going for 55 mil, And again, Elanga isn't terrible, he's a decent player, but 55 million for a player of that level, is surprising, and it is it just shows you where football's gone. And again, I mentioned this before. I said I did also Nico Williams, sorry, has signed a new contract through to 2035. That can't be right. No, that can't be right. Let me see that again. So a flake forward, Nico Williams signs new. Nah, no way. Guys, am I hearing this right? Nico Williams has signed a 10-year contract. That can't be real. That can't be real. Athletic Club forward Nico Williams signs new contract through to 2035 despite interest from Barca. There's no way these guys. Let me know in the chat, guys, and if that is confirmed news. So you mean to tell me that Nico Williams has signed a 10-year contract at Athletic Bilbao? There's no way that can be right. No way can that be serious. But yeah, so as I said, Newcastle looking to bid 55 million for Anthony Elanga. And again, nah, bro, no way, man. A 10-year contract. No way. No way has he signed a 10-year contract. Now, do you know, I'm actually in shock because if he would have signed like a 2-year extension, I'd have been like, fair enough. But he signed to 2035. I know he's got the release clause, but why would you sign that deal for that long? That doesn't make no sense. That is mad. That is absolutely mad. I can't believe that. Yeah, DXR, bro. I hear that to ensure they get the most from him. But the thing is, if he's got the release clause anyway, then they can just reject the bid and just refer everyone to his release clause. If that he signed a 10-year contract, he must be their highest paid player in history, because you wouldn't sign a 10-year contract. You'll just sign a 2-year extension with that high release clause. And if anyone does want him that badly, then they can pay for it. But to sign a 10-year deal, that is mad. That is absolutely mad. Yeah, I'm shocked, I'll be honest. But just going back to Anthony Elanga, again, you can see why Newcastle want Elanga. Again, Elanga is he does suit their team personally. He does suit their team. I think personally, they should still get a right winger that's left-footed, inverted, and then probably try to move on Harvey Barnes, if anything, and then have Elanga and probably Gordon battling it out for that left-hand side, and then getting, a star on that right-hand side, a Kudus, for example. And I think that will take Newcastle up a level. But 55 mil for Elanga is madness, really. But again, this is what's happening now in the transfer window. It's these clubs are spending these kind of mad prices. But yeah, it is mad. Sham says United are pricing Garnacho and Rashford high because of PSR, but need to realize that they are the B side in negotiations. with teams as these players. United already wanted them out, and they also want out. Yeah, I think. Well, the thing is, United are not pricing Garnacho and Rashford at higher prices only because of PSR. It's because if you look at Rashford, they're not pricing Rashford at a higher price. 40 million for a Rashford is more than okay. The only stumbling block is because Rashford's on higher wages. Because if Rashford wasn't on 300 grand, 350, whatever he's on, United would be asking for about 60 mil, 70 mil for Rashford because of his marketability. The fact that he's come through the youth, the fact that he's a massive name, whether people like it or not in football. The only reason he's going for 40 million is because of the higher wage. And Garnacho is going for higher than what Rashford is because he's on a low wage. That's how it works. So the PSR thing does need to be hit. So United can obviously spend more money and these guys will be full 100% profit as well. But the reason that, as I said to you, the reason why Rashford's not being priced high, 40 million is the actual fee, which is more than enough because of the wage he's on. And again, Garnacho, United are looking at 50, 60, but that's because he's on a low wage. Whereas if he was on a high wage, it'll be 40 million as well. And the things with United where they're going wrong for me is that, especially with Garnacho, you've got a player there that isn't good enough. And United should be at least looking at 30, 40 million to get him off the books, Whereas Rashford's one's a bit different because he's on a higher wage, But both players are 100% profit. So if you can get them both off the wage bill and off the books, it's going to mean that United can spend more money. So, but yeah, I don't think they're pricing them high. I just think that, because again, don't believe all these rumors, It's very obvious that Rashford's not being priced high. It's just that no one's willing to take on his wages, which is the stumbling block. Because if he was on a low wage, he'd have been gone a long time ago. And the fact we've Garnacho, United are trying to probably get a bit more for him, but he's on a low wage, so he'll be more appealing to other clubs. But again, just get rid of both of them and keep it moving. You know what I mean? So Sham says United will get 20% from the Elanga sale. So if it's 55 million, they will get 11. Yeah, exactly. So United will be getting some money one way or another from the Elanga sale. And again, it's this is why Nottingham Forest would want to drive the price high, because Nottingham Forest know that is in place. So I believe 55. Plus probably 5 mil in add-ons, making it to 60. I think that will be enough to get it over the line, in my opinion. Big up to Michael Bracewell. Big up for coming on, Michael. Guys, again, if it's your first time in there or if you just come in, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel at Gavgoesin. And again, guys, give me your questions. Let me know what you think. So obviously, Nico Williams just signing a new deal due to the registrations in place at 2035, guys, a 10-year deal. Madness. Obviously the release clause is there as well. And again, what do you guys think of Newcastle looking to bid 55 mil for Anthony Elanga? Because for me, 55 mil for Elanga is way too much. But if we're going by this current market, it's probably right, which is mad to say, And again, if we look at who's gone for 60, the likes of João Pedro, Cunha, Brentford wanting that for Mbuemo, and you'd think Kudus as well, then Forest were always going to ask for that kind of money, and especially that they've got to give 11 mil to United, or 11 mils coming off that, they're going to try and drive it to 60. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it is what it is, man. But, yeah, let me know what you think, guys. But big up. So look at that as well. United are looking like they're going to get, 16 million from the likes of Sancho being sent back and the Elanga sell if it goes through at that price, which isn't bad, really. It isn't bad. So, yeah, he was the second highest anyway after his brother. Okay. Yeah, Sham, listen. There's no way United are getting 70 mil for Garnacho. I think all these quotes are just quotes just to just to get other teams to put bids in. There's no way United are getting 70 mil for Garnacho, and there's no way I believe that United would even want 70 mil for Garnacho. I think these are just quotes to get to get people talking, because Garnacho is not a 70 million pound player. He's not that now, and he's not gonna be that in the future. So 40 million, 30 to 40 million, fair enough. You know what I mean? But there's no way 70 million, you know. So yeah, I wouldn't believe all that, to be honest. Michael says Rashford to Barcelona, maybe. Um, well, yeah, it's looking that way. I mean, as I said, Williams signed a new contract. Liverpool are saying there's no possibility that Diaz is going to go. And I think everything points towards Rashford because, again, I think Barca are definitely looking at someone that can play as a striker and play on the left, you know, someone that's versatile. And if you look at world football, there probably isn't too many players that are affordable or that are available at the moment. So this is why I think Rashford might be a viable option for Barca. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe he will be on the move, you know, but not for 40 million. I don't see Barca paying that and then paying part of his wage. I don't see that happening. And again, Barca probably don't want to commit to Rashford. They'd want to see how he gets on loan first and foremost. And you know, that'll be good business, I believe, from them. You know, if United can get 40 million and get him off the wage bill, then they're laughing. But Barca for me are not a dumb club, so I can't see that happening. So DXR says 43 million max for Garnacho. DXR, why 43 million? Why not 40 mil? And Sham says 35 mil. Yeah, I mean, between 30 and 40 million for Garnacho, United need to just take that and run as far as they can. Because I don't think United should be debating for too long about between 30 and 40 mil. I don't believe, you know. But yeah, moving on. Obviously, there's delays over Brian Mbeumo, you know, and there's quotes that have come out from Brentford's owner saying that he expects Mbeumo to report back for pre-season if a deal can't be agreed between United and themselves. Now, it's very clever what he's doing there, the owner, because what he's doing, he's more or less enticing United to make that 60 mil bid. Because, as I mentioned before, I can't believe United have turned up to Brentford and knowing how much they spent for on Cunha, you know, just knowing what the going rate would have been, why they would come in and try and lowball Brentford. You know, again, just offer 60 million, get the player in and move on. And I think the owner coming out saying he expects them to guys, bear me 1 minute. Can you still see me, guys? This sun's a killer, man. But yeah, no, I think that the fact that the owners come out and said, you know, he expects Mbeumo back for pre-season. Again, he's trying to force United's hand to see how bad United want it. And I believe United will get to the 60 million. But you know what? If I was Brentford's owner, just because United have tried to lowball them and take the piss, if I'm Brentford's owner, I'm saying, okay, it was 60 million. I'll now take 65. Because I think these kind of things will show other clubs like you can't take the piss, because United are banking on the fact that Mbeumo wants to come to them. So United are just messing around and coming in with 55 million and 7.5 in add-ons and just taking the piss. For me, if I'm Brentford, and again, I don't know if Brentford do this, but if United come in with 60 mil, I'll just be like, yeah, the price has gone up now. It's now 65. You know what I mean? Like, I think they should do that, but who knows? Who knows? Michael says, do you see Eze to Arsenal happening in July? No, I don't. No, I don't. I think what it's going to cost to take Eze out of Crystal Palace, I don't believe Arsenal do that, because they've still got to get a striker in, which hasn't been confirmed yet. And all talk about Sesko and Gyökeres and nothing's been confirmed. You know, so yeah, I can't see Eze going to Arsenal, you know, because I don't believe they'll pay what it takes. And also I believe, you know, Tottenham and probably another club might come in, and make and try and compete. So, but yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'd say just going back to Brian Mbuemo. Yeah, more delays, and again, I'm getting bored of this now because this deal should have been wrapped up weeks ago. But United doing their usual bullshit, just messing around, and now we have to wait and see what's going to happen. So yeah, but I do believe United's next bid will be along the lines of 60 mil, but it just depends what Brentford, what their state of mind is, because if I'm Brentford, as I said, I'm just saying, look, it's 65 or 70, and letting them know, you can't take the piss out of us like that. So, but who knows? So Michael says, I mean, Arsenal can get Rodgers for the same price. They may get Sesko. Again, big up Michael, but these kind of things are too sensible for the likes of Arsenal because let's be honest, yeah. What are Arsenal doing going for Sesko in the first place? Because that's not a signing for me. That's going to take Arsenal to where they need to get to, And again, Arsenal being one of Man United's biggest rivals, if Arsenal want to go and get Sesko, then by all means, sorry, bear me 1 minute, guys. Then by all means, because it just means that that's another team that are not doing what they're supposed to do, So if Arsenal want to go for Sesko, then that's up to them. But for me, why Arsenal haven't, gone from Morgan Rodgers? Because again, Rodgers can play in the 10, he can play from the left, and if need be from the right. So he's an ideal signing. Again, he's going to cost around about 60 to 70 million, I believe, as well. And Newcastle again won't want to sell him, but why he's not being looked at seriously by Arsenal, just like why Kudus isn't, again, there's no point talking about Rodrigo because unless Rodrigo comes out and says he wants to leave, and again, I don't believe Arsenal get Rodrigo, but they're the kind of caliber of players that Arsenal need to be going for, not Benjamin Sesko. But again, if Arsenal want Sesko and they want to discount the likes of Rodgers, hey, listen, I'm not complaining because, again, just being a rival of United's for years, if they keep faltering, it's good news, man. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's mad they're going for Sesko, but who knows, man? Who knows? Sham says Fabrizio Romano put out a post this morning that Real Madrid are now open to selling Rodrigo with a good proposal. Where do you see him going? Yeah, big up, Sham. Listen, I mean, I've not seen that, but I believe Real Madrid was always kind of going to be open, but I think with Rodrigo, because of the kind of caliber player that he is, no one was really going to come in and test Real Madrid's resolve, because I would have respected it even more if the likes of Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal, whoever, Bayern Munich, I mean, imagine Barcelona, which obviously ain't going to happen. I would have respected these clubs if they just come in and just made a decent bid for him to test the resolve, and see where Real Madrid's thinking is at. But I think a lot of it is fair because probably they know that how good Rodrigo is, the offer will get knocked back, And I did say to you guys as well, that if Xabi Alonso does play the 3-5-2 that he played at Bayer Leverkusen, the fact that he signed Franco Mastantuono, who's going to be understudy, I believe, and then the fact they've got Arda Güler, I was saying one of Güler or Rodrigo has to move on, because if he's playing the 3-5-2, just look at who he played as the right side of the three. If anyone remembers at Bayer Leverkusen, he had Adli. He had Adli playing, and Adli's left-footed. So the closest profile to Adli in Real Madrid now is an Arda Güler or a Franco Mastantuono, because they're both left-footed. So the thing is with Rodrigo is good enough to be a starter for Real Madrid easily. As I said to you guys before, for me, he's more talented than both Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. But the thing is, those two have the bigger profiles, and he's always going to be the casualty. So the fact, if Xabi Alonso wants to play this 3-5-2 and he's going to go with the left-footed inverted, then Rodrigo has to move on for the betterment of his career, because Vinny and Mbappe are still there, two players that do play out wide, even though Mbappe is playing through the middle. And then if you want a left-footed player on that side, you've got Arda Güler and you've got Mastantuono as well. So Rodrigo, as good as he is, doesn't really have a place there, which is why I think he should be moving on. So where do I see him going? I think if Rodrigo's clever, if he wants to come to the Premier League, for me, it's between Real Madrid. It's between Man City and Chelsea. If he goes to Man City, he makes them Champions League favourites with what they've got already. I believe, because I do think, even though they got beat the other day by Al Hilal, I think, you're going to see a different Man City this season. And I think if they get a Rodrigo in, I think he makes them, along with PSG, Champions League favourites. However, if he does go to Chelsea, I believe he makes Chelsea title contenders. This is how good I think Rodrigo is and how much of a difference he'll make. So how much do I think he'll go for is interesting, because I think someone of that level, again, if he hands in a transfer request, I reckon about 80, 90 million, if it's a transfer request. But I think if it's a case where he doesn't hand in a transfer request and someone just puts a bid in, you're looking at 100 mil plus for Rodrigo, So, but yeah, I can see it being Man City or Chelsea. However, Bayern Munich have a slot there for him, ready and available. And if Bayern Munich had Rodrigo, Musiala, Elise, Harry Kane, I mean, find me a better four than that. You know what I mean? That is a frightening four. So, but yeah, I think Man City. I mean, if he went to Man City, I think that's the title wrap for me. If he went to Man City, for sure. But yeah, I'm going to say Man City or Chelsea. I think, or don't rule out Bayern Munich. Don't rule out Bayern Munich, because they're looking for a left winger, which is obvious. But yeah, I'm going to say Man City or Chelsea. I think. DXR reckons Bayern. Yeah, listen, Bayern looking for a left winger. There's no secret there. And again, if Marcus Rashford's clever, Rashford just goes to Bayern Munich, because I think there's interest in Bayern for him, as they're looking for that type of player. The thing with Rashford, and I could be wrong, but I reckon Rashford doesn't want to go to Bayern as badly, because he'd probably want to be the only English player there. Obviously, Harry Kane's there, who's obviously, has a bigger status than Rashford in terms of, status in the game. And Rashford might look at that and think, if he goes to Barcelona, he's the only English guy in their team, which all eyes might be on him. Whereas at Bayern Munich, he's got Harry Kane there, So these things might be a factor, because if people think that these things are not a factor, then I urge you to think again, because I think that might be a turning point, So Sham says Bayern did offer for Diaz, which got rejected, so possibly we'll go for Rodrigo. Yeah, listen, all the top clubs, if Rodrigo says he wants to leave, you're looking at Bayern Munich. Barcelona would, again, love to have Rodrigo, but Real Madrid wouldn't sell Rodrigo to Barcelona. I would love if Rodrigo said he wanted to go there, but that's not going to happen. But if he's available, you're looking at Bayern Munich, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool probably as well. Yeah, Liverpool. All the top clubs would want him. Would want Rodrigo, definitely. And PSG as well, but PSG's need for Rodrigo isn't there, because they've got Kvaratskhelia, again, who's one of the best wingers in the game. Dembele, Doué, Barcola. These guys are all fluid and all can play from the left as well. So Rodrigo's need ain't really there. So I can't see them going for Rodrigo unless the likes of Barcola or whoever moves on. But yeah, I can see all the top teams being interested in him, definitely. But I think Luis Diaz again is he's not going to be on the move. I think he's definitely gonna stay at Liverpool. You know, and again, if I'm Diaz and Liverpool's saying he's not for sale, Diaz should march into that office and ask for a new contract then, because if Diaz moves from Liverpool, he'll get offered more money than what he's on now. And if they're saying he's not for sale, his agent should be onto Liverpool now saying he wants a new contract. Because I heard something like he's on 50 grand a week, which is an absolute joke, really, for someone of his level, you know. But if he's happy on that, then more for him. But I can see a new contract coming his way if he stays there till by the end of the summer, you know, or the end of the window, should I say? But who knows? Michael says, with the way Brighton operate, I see Chelsea buying their players only for these ridiculous prices. So as I said, Michael, I've said this before as well, you know, and someone did ask me this as well about Carlos Baleba. Carlos Baleba is the ideal profile for Chelsea. And the thing is, why Baleba stands out is because he's left-footed, and he would add balance. Because if you look at a lot of central midfields in world football, they don't particularly have the left-footed central midfielders. We only look and the ones that are top class. There's only two of them. That's Eduardo Camavinga and Fabian Ruiz, and one's at Real Madrid, one's at PSG. So if you look at all the other top teams, you know, City don't have one. I know Bernardo Silva is left-footed, but he's not a recognised central midfielder, even though I think he will be playing there a bit often now, and he's their new captain as well. Liverpool don't have a left-footed central midfielder. You know, Harvey Elliott is left-footed, but Elliott doesn't really play as the central midfielder. Then you look at Chelsea don't, Barcelona don't, even though they got the youngster. I think Mark Bernal's left-footed, but he's out injured. Also might be coming back. So I think Chelsea would be the ideal place for Baleba, but again, Chelsea are stacked in midfield, so yeah, I don't believe Chelsea go for him unless I think if Chelsea was to, let's say, I don't know, sell Enzo Fernandez, Baleba would be the ideal replacement. It'd be the perfect replacement, because to have a midfield of Caicedo, Baleba, Lavia if he can stay fit, and then they've got that Andre Santos, who's not really getting much game time, and they've got Dario Asugo. They'll be stacked in that midfield area, you know. So, but again, for me, as I keep saying, Carlos Baleba should be Man United's number one midfield target. He should be their number one. I mean, get the Mbeumo deal over the line, and then they should go all out for Baleba, you know. And if they don't, Baleba's going to go to one of the big teams. I can promise you that. He's destined to play for one of the big teams. You can just see. But who knows, man? Hopefully, United can do some business there, but it's unlikely, you know. So Sesko for 90 million is ridiculous. You can get Gyökeres and another veteran in the squad to accompany these youngsters. Listen, Michael, I'm not sure if you're an Arsenal fan, man, but listen, let's keep it quiet, man, because if that club is dumb enough to spend 90 million on Sesko, then more for them. You know what I mean? Because yeah, like that's just ridiculous. But as you said, but yeah, listen, let's just keep quiet and let's hope they do that, because if they sign him for 90 million, then I ain't gonna lie, I'm laughing. So who knows? So Sham said, some good news for Gamer. I came across a Newcastle post that, according to Give Me Sport, Newcastle are preparing an offer around 60 mil for Xavi Simons, who wants to move to a Champions League club. Do you know what? That will be, I think that will possibly be a decent signing for Newcastle, because I believe Newcastle were linked with him before as well. But Xavi Simons can also play out wide and play as a 10. So, and for 60 mil, you know, that might not be a bad signing, you know. But I mean, if I'm honest with you, 60 mil on Xavi Simons or 55 mil on Elanga, who are you taking? I think a lot of people would say Elanga because he's playing the Premier League already. But if you've got someone like Xavi Simons who can cover two positions, you know, for relatively the same price, that might not be a bad shout for them to do, you know. So, but yeah, I have to wait and see, man. But I do think the transfer news is going to be heating up. I think once they all come back to pre-season training, I would say, I think this is when you're going to start seeing a bit more noise from other clubs. So Michael says maybe Liverpool can get Sesko because the deal to Arsenal collapsed because Liverpool are forced to buy strikers now and Nunes is leaving. Yeah, Michael, big up, man. I think I touched on this yesterday. I think what's important is that Liverpool at this moment in time are not going to be thinking about signing players, getting rid of players, because obviously they're in mourning at the moment after what's happened to Diogo Jota, and rightfully so. So we all know that Nunes was on the verge of leaving them anyway. And again, Sham, obviously being a Liverpool supporter, can obviously tell you a bit more as well. But I think in terms of talk about them signing players, that's the last thing on their mind right now. You know, they'll sort that out. Obviously, once they've finished mourning Diogo Jota, you know. So, yeah. But to answer your question, or to reply back to what you said, I do think they'll sign a striker, definitely. You know. Big up to Vedat Mansuroglu, brother from Turkey. Yeah, big up Vedat, man. Big up for coming on each and every time. Guys, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. You know, if you're enjoying the content, you know, and obviously if you like watching the channel, then make sure you smash the like button, help the channel to grow, and make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gavgoesin as well. Shama said, we've never been linked to Sesko, only the following attackers: Isak, Osimhen, Gyökeres, and Ekitike. Yeah, listen, I think out of all them strikers, the most likely one for me, I mean, it's looking like Ekitike. I think Gyökeres, you know, whether they want Gyökeres too badly, I don't know. You know, obviously he's got the problems at Sporting Lisbon now as well. Osimhen, the wage might be too high from what he's asking. Isak, we've spoken about before, and you know, you can't afford Isak for what Newcastle are going to want. So Ekitike at the moment, even though he's slightly high in terms of price, might be the one that they actually might actually get, but who knows? I think at this moment in time, especially for me, I'm just sick and tired of hearing about all these links to players, and you know, it's boring me now. You know, I think Man United have bored me the whole window because Cunha was done early, which was good, but the Mbeumo one's a joke. The fact that there's been no links to any concrete midfielder, you know, Douglas Luiz would be a very good signing as well, even if it's on loan. But Baleba is the one I want United to go for. I'm hearing people say Baleba is not attainable, which he is. You know, if I'm United, test Brighton's resolve. At least make an offer to see where you stand. You know, I don't understand clubs that know that they need certain players but don't even attempt to make an offer. You know, it's just weird. But who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah, as Michael just said, yeah. Signings for Liverpool, I think, are in the back burner at the moment. So Sham reckons with Diaz's age, sell him to Barca or Bayern, and we should go for Rodrigo. Yeah, listen, that would be perfect for that would be actually perfect for Liverpool, you know. But they've already said that Diaz is not for sale. But again, it's tricky because if they sell Diaz and then Rodrigo doesn't indicate that he wants to leave, or you know, if he does and he goes elsewhere, then they're gonna have a player that they've sold, but that they probably didn't want to, and they haven't got the player in to replace him. So yeah, these are the things that could happen. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think if Rodrigo's on the move, there's going to be no shortage of takers, definitely, you know, because he's a very good player. DXR says, bro, I wanted to ask you a question. So let me put it on the screen for you guys. So you played football right at a high level. Like, how do these footballers keep their minds straight with all the mad temptations around them? So yeah, like again, if some of you don't know my background, obviously, you know, as a youngster, I played for both Chelsea and Tottenham. You know, I was at Chelsea for 7 years. I was at Tottenham for 3 years, and in terms of temptations in football, what I would say is that football is a very lucrative business now. I think back when I was playing, there wasn't the money in football wasn't there in comparison to what it is now. So what I would say is that the temptations that are around these players, it depends how much you want to be a footballer, and that goes for anything in life. You get temptations in any walk of life. It isn't just football. It just depends how much you want to make something of your career, or make something that you actually enjoy doing. Because you hear so many stories about footballers out in nightclubs, and some aspiring footballers end up throwing it away because they're drinking, going to nightclubs involving women, etc. And again, these are the temptations that are always going to be there. But how badly do you want to become a footballer? How badly do you want to succeed in something that you enjoy doing? Because what people have to realize, especially if you're a younger footballer coming up, is that women and all these other things are always going to be there, because women want to be with people that are successful. So if you're someone that is too interested in going for the girls at the moment, and you're someone that wants to be a footballer, you're doing the wrong thing, and it's showing that the hunger for you to become a footballer just isn't there. Because as I said, women come and go. If that is the one of the main temptations for guys. So when you do make it, these luxuries will always be there. So that's what I would say about temptations. If there is temptations, you have to ask yourself the question: how badly do you want it? And if you want it badly, then there's no such thing as temptations. You're going to have a tunnel vision, a focus to make the best of what it is that you enjoy doing, and that's all there is to it, really. But big up, man. Good question. DXR says, "Tell us some stories, Gav." Well, what stories do you want to know, man? Like, what stories do you want to know? I mean, I've got some good stories about me playing, and experiences that I've done. So Michael Bracewell says Baleba will cost 100 million or something. Yeah, big up. I don't think he cost that much personally. I think I reckon between 70 to 90 million he might cost. But again, there's such thing as installments. Installments can be done as well. But again, unless Brighton have come out and said, look, he's going to cost 100 million, fair enough. But there's been no talk of that. And unless that happens, then as I said, like, I wouldn't believe he's going to cost 100 million until the owner comes out. I'll give you an example. AC Milan's owner come out and said, when Rafael Leao was linked to Bayern Munich, the owner come out and said he's going to cost 109 million. And that's what I want to hear. If an owner comes out and says it's going to cost that amount, then the owner's letting you know where he stands with any other club that thinks about bidding. I've not heard Brighton say he's going to cost 100 million. I think we're basing that because that's how much Caicedo cost. But ultimately, he might cost less than Caicedo. He could cost more. Who knows? But unless someone puts a bid in, how are you ever going to know that? Elanga and Isak are very good friends internationally. You think Elanga could get us 10 goals plus next season? Yeah, Elanga will get 10 goals, especially in a Newcastle team that do create chances, and 10 goals isn't that many, really. But yeah, obviously they're both Swedish internationals as well. So yeah, but again, the reason that they're getting Elanga is because if you look at Elanga in terms of the wide options that Newcastle have, he fits into their profile, because just like Gordon and Barnes, they're all high energy players with pace. So Elanga fits the mold. But in terms of a left-footed inverted on the right-hand side, that's why it's going to be a game changer, which is why they should be looking at Kudus. I mean, why Kudus hasn't been bidded for by Newcastle, I will never know. But yet they're bidded for Elanga. I think that 55 million should be used to be put in a bid for Kudus, because Kudus is better than Elanga. But again, that's up to Newcastle, man. So Michael says Gibbs White with Isak 20 plus goal contributions. Michael, what does that mean? I'm not getting that. Gibbs White with Isak. Oh, you think Newcastle should sign Gibbs White? Is that what you're saying? So Liverpool should definitely get Rodrigo. That would be an amazing transfer. Still plenty of time left in the window. See what happens. Yeah, listen, but Liverpool won't have a clear run at Rodrigo if they do want him, if he does come out and say he's available. That's for sure. Big up to Lumi Rain. So Lumi Rain says Chelsea fined. Yeah, I've seen it. I think Chelsea have been fined 24 mil, I believe, and it might go up to 42 if they. Yeah, I see that earlier. Let me see if I can see it. I see that. Yeah. So Chelsea have been fined 27 million with UEFA, which will go up to 52 million if they don't stick to a 4-year settlement plan. So yeah, I was reading that earlier, which is mad. But again, if they win that Club World Cup, man, then they might just use that money on that. So who knows? Kepa Arrizabalaga in the house. Kepa's in the house. Big up to Kepa, man. Obviously, new Arsenal signing, 5 million. Again, a bit mad to see what Arsenal are doing. I mean, but obviously, Spanish like Arteta, who knows? So Kepa says, Man United shouldn't have sold Henderson and Elanga. They should have, because Henderson wasn't good enough, especially with his feet. And again, Henderson was on 120 grand a week. For a keeper to be on the bench for that amount is madness. And then Elanga, for me, for the level that Man United should be looking at, Elanga wasn't the level. However, to think that Garnacho is in the first team squad and has played the amount of games that he has done, and Elanga was shifted off early, that's the problem that I see. Because if I'm comparing Elanga and Garnacho, Elanga's better than Garnacho because at least Elanga offers physicality. Elanga might not be the most smoothest of footballers, but he has the physicality, he has the pace. Garnacho has neither. So to think that United sold Elanga and kept Garnacho is another fault on the club. And to say that United shouldn't have sold Henderson, they should have, because you can't have two goalkeepers, one being De Gea on 350, which is madness in itself, and then another one on 120 on the bench. Doesn't make sense. You're paying what, 570, 470, just under 500 grand a week to two keepers. I've never heard that in my life. And that is just ridiculous. So he should have been sold. But big up for your question anyway. Big up to Exedra. Big up, bro, for coming on. Yeah, big up. Guys, make sure if it's your first time in it or if you just come through, smash that like button, comment, like, subscribe. Big up yourselves. So Michael has said, if Gibbs White played with Isak or Haaland, he would have 20 goal contributions. Yeah, but Michael, 20 goal contributions ain't that many. That's not that many. That's not a lot of contributions. I guarantee you, if you look at Gibbs White season just gone, he might even have not even far off 20 goal contributions. That ain't a lot, really. Let's be honest. So Kepa says, how far do you think Frankfurt and Napoli will reach in the Champions League? I think Frankfurt, again, they're looking like they're going to lose their striker in Ekatike. Obviously lost Omar Marmoush as well in January. I think Frankfurt will do well to get through. Obviously the format's different now. So they'll do well to get through to the latter stages, in my opinion. I think, how many teams is it that qualifies for the latter stages? I think Napoli might fancy themselves getting into that. But do I see both teams get into the quarterfinals to the finals? I don't. So, but I think Napoli should get through into the new format, into the groups through the group stage. But I think Frankfurt will do well to get out of that. But who knows, man? Weirder things have happened. So Exedra says Arsenal moving a bit mad in general today. If you know, you know. Do you know what, Exedra? I wonder if it's what I'm thinking. I wonder if it's what I'm thinking. Let us know, man, what you're actually talking about, because I've seen some. So yeah, Baina's gone to Atletico, man, 45 mil, and that's a steal. That's a steal, man. Definitely is a steal. But because Baina's a very good player, you know, Spanish international as well. So Kepa says, who do you think Liverpool will sign because Nunes is leaving and Jota's ripped? Yeah, Kepa, listen. As I mentioned already, man, like it's gonna be the last thing on Liverpool's mind right now. So I think questions like this, man, don't need to be asked, man, as I said, because you know the fan base are still in mourning. You know, obviously you got a fellow Liverpool fan in there as well, in Sham, and obviously he'll answer that probably better than me. But I believe Liverpool fans won't want to be discussing who replacements are going to be for strikers right now, man. So yeah, big up for your question, but let's try and keep that to a minimum right now, man, and respect obviously the Liverpool fans, man, because sometimes, you know, there's things that are bigger than football. To think that you've got a player of 28 years of age in Diogo Jota that has passed away along with his brother, you know, it puts it into perspective, man, how important life is. Because yeah, it's madness, man. Because again, when I found that out yesterday, I actually thought it was a joke, and I actually put on Twitter, you know, is this actually a joke? And then it was confirmed by, you know, Fabrizio and Romano and a few others. And like, the thing is, it hit me, man, how someone of that age can just be struck down doing something that most of us do every day, and that's get in your car and drive. So yeah, man, there's things that are bigger than football. I mean, his lives at stake. Obviously, he's got a wife, 3 children, recently married as well. So yeah, these things have to be put into perspective, definitely. And as I said, yeah, it's a sad day for football yesterday, man. And let's be honest, that's going to be the last thing on Liverpool fans' minds, definitely. Guys, how many likes we got? Anyone know how many likes we got at the moment? So, who do you think was the beat duo in Ten Hag era? What's the beat duo? I'm not even sure what that is. Yeah, listen, Sham, I've heard about that, man. I'm not really going to discuss that, really. It's just madness, man. And I'm just hoping for Partey's sake, you know, it's not true, because look at what happened to Benjamin Mendy. He got acquitted of it, and his career was ruined off the back of it. So I'm just hoping, you know, it's the same kind of thing. But 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault is serious. But yeah, listen, he's gonna have to face the music, man, if these things are true. But who knows? Yeah, big up to Barbara Joseph. Big up. Yeah, big up. So Anthony Gordon only had 11 goal contributions, 24-25 season. That's poor. Yeah, listen. I think that is. It's not great. Put it that way. It definitely isn't great. But what I would say is, you know, I do believe Liverpool. I'm not sorry, Newcastle. If they do get a right winger next season, I do believe Newcastle will be one of the contenders for sure. Because I think all we have to look at is you got one of the best goal scorers, best strikers in Europe right now, and I think if you can get, as I say, a Kudus in there, and then you can go and get a another attacking midfielder, I think Jack Grealish as a 10 in that system, I think Jack Grealish will be on fire, man, 100%. Because I think Jack Grealish is he's the missing link for me, especially in terms of a number 10 in that position for Newcastle. And I think if Newcastle was to at least inquire, I know his wages are going to be quite high, but if Newcastle was to inquire, I mean that would be great for Newcastle to have a Grealish who can play as a 10, and then they've got the midfield two of Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton with the physicality, and then you've got, you know, if Elanga comes in with Gordon and Barnes, and I get a right winger like a Kudus, Isak, and I can see why they wanted João Pedro, because João Pedro can play as a 10 and could cover for Isak as a striker. So, as I said, man, yeah, it's I do think Newcastle will get players through the door, but yeah, 11 goal contributions ain't great. But let's be honest, I do expect that to be bettered next season for Anthony Gordon. You know, I'm not a massive fan of Anthony Gordon, but Gordon does have his attributes, which does link well with Isak, and he's effective for Newcastle, definitely. So Kepper says, who do you think will sign Rashford? I think we've answered this already. I think everything points towards Barcelona, you know. But someone mentioned earlier, you know, Barcelona, Man United want 40 million. Guys, I'll tell you this right now. Barcelona are only going to do it as a loan deal and cover probably part of his wages. There's no way Barca pay 40 million and then they pay part of Rashford's wages. I can't see that happening. No way. But as I said, I think the most likely at the moment is Barcelona. However, if Rashford's got brains, he'll go to Bayern Munich, because you think of Leroy Sané going. And guys, let's not forget as well, Jamal Musiala, new number 10 at Bayern Munich, which was heavily expected. But I think with Sané moving on to Galatasaray, Kingsley Coman, not sure what's happening with him. Elise one side. I think the left-hand side, obviously Serge Gnabry, what's going to happen to him? Is he going to be moving on? That left-hand side is available for Rashford. And for me, if Rashford goes to Bayern Munich, you know, with that high line in Germany, he's going to have a lot of joy there, you know. And I think that front four of Elise on the right, Musiala in the 10, Rashford from the left, and Harry Kane as the striker, I'll go as far as saying that four there has got a bit of everything. You know, you've got the pace of Rashford, you've got the guile and the creativity of both, and the passing as well of Elise and Musiala. And then you've got Harry Kane, who can pass, is the goal scorer, can hold the ball up. That front four there is frightening. Like, and as I said, I think if Rashford goes there, then, you know, he'll have a field. I think he'll do well out there with that high line. But as I said earlier, I think Rashford doesn't want to go to Bayern Munich because he probably wants to be the only Englishman in the team. And obviously Harry Kane's there, who has a bigger profile than Rashford. And obviously if he goes to Barcelona, there's no other Englishmen there in the team. So he might be looking at things like that, you know, who knows? So Lumi Rain says, I saw your football videos. You could play in this United team, surely. Maybe if I was probably 20 years younger, but big up Lumi. But yeah, no, like a lot of you that probably don't probably know, obviously, you know, I've had a past footballing career. So I played for both Chelsea and Tottenham as a youngster in the academy, you know. And yeah, I've had very good experiences, you know. I've had mad experiences, come to think of it. I remember, obviously, when I was about 13 or 14, playing up against a certain Wayne Rooney, you know, when Rooney was at Everton. So I was at Chelsea at the time, and we went to a tournament in Stoke, where all the best teams in the country went there. And the one thing I remember from this is that back then in our hotel, a lot of the players all stayed in the same sort of hotel. And I remember there was Derby County that was there, and there used to be a Derby County player called, I think his name was Nathan Doyle, if I remember, mixed race. I think he actually played for their first team, funny enough. And I remember he kept saying, something about Wayne this, Wayne that. And I'm thinking, who the hell is Wayne? I don't even know who Wayne is. And funny enough, we had Everton in our group. And next thing I remember, like, we played against Everton, and the talk was about Wayne. And obviously, at the time, didn't know it was Wayne Rooney. And guys, let me tell you now, Wayne Rooney was an absolute beast, man. He was not only was Wayne Rooney like physically developed more than anyone else on the pitch at the age of like what 14, 15, but in terms of his technical ability, it was an eye opener just to how good a player he was. And obviously, as we know, made his debut at 16 for Everton against Arsenal, scoring that goal, man. So yeah, like Wayne Rooney was an absolute joke, even at that age, you know. But I would say the best player I probably played against, again, from a young age, you know, was possibly Sam Nasri when Sam Nasri was at Marseille. Sam Nasri is an absolute joke, you know. And again, Nasri wasn't like, you know, overly physical, but his football brain was just on another level. You know, he was just very talented on the ball. And I think I was at Tottenham at the time, and we played them. We went to a tournament in Belgium, and we had Marseille in our group. We had PSG in our group, who actually made it to the final against Anderlecht, funny enough. And then we had the local team, a team called Excelsior Mouscron. Again, if you're a Belgian person, then you know about Excelsior Mouscron. It was their tournament, and we had Marseille in our group, and we got absolutely smoked. We got beat 6-0 by Marseille, and Nasri was just at the helm of it, man, just pulling the strings, got embarrassed, you know. But yeah, no, they were good experiences for me, man. I've played on so many different grounds as well. You know, I've played on Stamford Bridge about 15, 16 times. You know, I've played at Amsterdam Arena, which is Ajax's stadium. You know, Charlton's ground, the Valley, Upton Park, White Hart Lane, the Old Highbury. Yeah, so many different grounds, man. I've lost count, you know. So I've had very good experiences. But and this is why I've got myself a channel, guys, because I just love talking about football. You know, it can be any team, any team that you like. You know, your favorite team. You know, any player. You know, I'm here for the conversation. So, yeah, man, I do love football. Big up to Exedra says. Speaking of which, Gav, Porto's got on. Yeah, Rodrigo Mora, 18 years of age, and he's going to be the next one. I liken Rodrigo Mora to João Felix. He could be the next João Felix in terms of his diminutive stature, you know, his quality on the ball. And again, João Felix, for me, the fact that João Felix hasn't made the most of his career is frustrating, because I don't care what anyone says in terms of ability. He's one of the best in the world, João Felix. You know, he's up there with, you name it, Lamine Yamal, the Rodrigos in terms of ability. But he just can't find a place in a team right now, because football's gone away from the João Felixes. Because João Felix is a free spirit number 10. But the way football's gone now, as I said, yeah, João Felix, it's a shame. João Felix has kind of missed the boat, and he can't find a regular club, because on ability alone, there's no way that this guy shouldn't be a regular starter for Portugal and a regular starter for one of the big clubs in the world. It's unthinkable to think that he's not doing that, you know, and it's a shame, man. But yeah, Rodrigo Mora, man, is a very good player. I've seen him quite a bit, and I believe obviously he's in the international squad as well now. I don't believe he's had his debut yet, but definitely I think he's going to be someone that you're going to be hearing about a lot more. And I think a lot of teams will keep tabs on him, you know, and it's going to be another player that's going to be moving from the Portuguese league to one of the major clubs in Europe for me. Kepa says, do you stream on Twitch? Nah, bro, I don't, man. I don't. Someone told me the same thing today. Yeah, I don't, man. I'm just mainly on YouTube at the moment. You know, I'm just trying to grow the channel. Yeah, I'm just trying to grow the channel at the moment. But yeah, I don't stream on Twitch. Guys, we've got 153 people in at the moment, which is big numbers. And big up yourselves for coming through and checking out the content. You know, if you guys can just smash that like button if you're enjoying the content. And as I said, let me know your questions, man. Any questions football related, let me know. But yeah, big up yourselves. Big up yourselves. Yeah, Zedra, no worries, man. I think this this streams. I think the streams is StreamYard at the moment is playing up, you know. But as I said, man, there's 150 of you in at the moment. And big up to big up to Flawless, man, from Sarcasm City. Yeah, big up to all the ones that's come over from his channel in here. Yeah, big up yourselves, man, each and every time. Yes, Flores was meant to come on today, guys, but obviously he had other things that he had to do. I think he went on his channel as well. But yeah, big up to Flawless, man, each and every time, man. Been watching him from day, man, himself and Rants. But yeah, guys, big up for coming through. So we're gonna get back onto and I will go through your questions after as well. So obviously today you guys have probably heard that Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho, and Malacia have all informed United they want to move on. You know, I think first and foremost, you know, and this might be a bit controversial or people might have different of opinions here, but I think the likes of Sancho for me had a place at United still. I know Cunha's there, and we're going to move on to Cunha in a bit because there's some big news that you guys probably heard of as well. But I do think that in terms of Sancho for me had a lot to give United still. You know, I know he's on a high wage, but I look at the quality United squad, and United could have done well with having the likes of a Sancho in the team still, definitely. But again, if he's come out saying he wants to move on, you know, I think there's no point trying to hold on to players that don't want to be there. But I had hope that he would have come back, you know, for pre-season and tried to be reintegrated back into the squad. But again, big news today coming out that himself, Rashford, Garnacho, Malacia, and Anthony want to be moved on. And I think one thing to say is that can be a lot of money that's going to be saved, definitely. But yeah, Sancho, I did want him to come back and compete with Cunha for that left 10 role in this system. Anthony, again, I think the season that he had with Betis, I think it was always likely that he was going to be looking for a move. Although, you know, I do think he wasn't given the chances at United. But again, there will be takers for him. Rashford's a no-brainer, as we mentioned before. You know, Rashford's on what? 350 grand a week, 40 million. You know, that's a no-brainer for me. And it's full profit, 100% profit. And Garnacho, as some of you guys might know already, for me is a no-brainer. Not good enough. And again, you know, United can get money from him as well. So Malacia is a bit of a different one because some of you might actually disagree with this, but I would actually keep Malacia, and I'll tell you why. In this system, Malacia for me can play as a left side centre back, as a left wing back as well. I look at Man United's options there, and I think Aiden Heaven coming through. Yep, happy with that. I don't really want to see Lenny Yoro play as a left-sided centre back. I'd rather see him as a right side. But then again, how are we going to fit in Mazraoui? Because Mazraoui, for me, is so consistent and has to play. But I think if I look at Malacia, you know, try and get rid of Luke Shaw, which again is going to be difficult. But the fact that Malacia, I believe, can play left side centre back, and in those wide areas as the left side and right side at the back, you need pace, as we know. I think obviously in terms of the height, he hasn't got the height there, you know. But in terms of his pace in the wide areas, that would be key. And I think he had a role definitely in the squad for me, Malacia. But the fact that he's come out saying he wants to move on, yeah, we'd have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But yeah, as I said, man, I think United will be getting a lot of money from these players, but whether they can move these guys on, you know, by the start of the season, I'm not too sure. I don't know, because as we know with United just moved too slow, man. It's bloody annoying. But yeah, big up to Shaheen Afridi. Yeah, big up to Flawless, man. Big up, bro. Just gonna go through some of your questions. Yeah, Shaheen says Nasri from Man City. Right. Yeah, listen, Nasri's putting a lot of weight, man. He has. But yeah, Nasri was one of the best players, as I said, that I played against as a youngster, you know. He was ridiculous, man. He was so talented, man, on the ball. But yeah, as I said, man, he had a good, very, very good career. Obviously, Man City as well. Obviously, Arsenal. Sevilla. Obviously, French international, and obviously, it's gone away from him now. But yeah, he was a very good player, man. Definitely. Um, so when Rooney debuted for Everton, he even then knew. Yeah, listen, Rooney was destined to make it, man. Destined to make it. He was an absolute joke of a player, man. And I think when everyone looks at Wayne Rooney, I think the first thing they mention is his physicality, but the ability that he had in terms of striking the ball, his passing, his technique, was underestimated in my opinion. But yeah, he was a proper player, man. Great player. Yeah, 16 he was, man. We made his debut for Everton against Arsenal. So Shami says, am I an Arsenal fan? I'm not. I'm a Man United fan, but big up, man. We're actually born in the same year as well, funny enough. But yeah, I'm a Man United fan, man. Let me know, guys. What do you think of Arteta? Do you think Arteta deserves to still be at Arsenal? If I'm an Arsenal fan, I'd be disgusted at the fact that Arteta's still there, because let's be honest, man, Arteta should have been sacked about 2 seasons ago, in my opinion. And I think the fact that a lot of Arsenal fans seem to be giving Arteta time is the reason why Arsenal for me, will continue to falter, because Arsenal just need a proven winner, a manager in their as their coach. It's obvious what they're looking for, but I think the fan base, the owners, they're just hell bent on this Arteta guy. I don't know what this Arteta has over Arsenal, but he's definitely got something over them, because the fact that he's still in charge is madness. And again, as we know, they're not going to make the right signings, in my opinion, to take them, because Liverpool, Man City are definitely the favourites for the title. Chelsea might have a lot to say about that, but for me, Arsenal right now, in the position that they're in, they need to be going out and buying ready-made, a goal-scoring striker and the left winger. That's gonna be an upgrade on both Martinelli and Trossard. But whether they go and do that, I'm not so sure. But yeah, it's mad. So Shami says, do you think João Felix will get his redemption? I don't know. I hope he does, because what's João Felix now? What, 25, 26? I think he's wasted his career. Not for, the thing is with João Felix, it's through no fault of his own, because João Felix hasn't been helped in terms of the managers that he's had. But in terms of the talent that he's got, it's a shame that he's not a regular starter at one of the major clubs, because I think everyone, would have saw that was his pathway. But ultimately, yeah, it's not going to happen, But where he ends up next, I'm not too sure. I know you guys might think I'm mad, but I'll take him at Man United. I would, as a left 10, I would, and just make it happen, But again, that's not going to happen. So you have to wait and see. So Zedra says that's a great shout. João Felix and Rodrigo Mora comparison. Yeah, listen, I agree, man. Yeah, Rodrigo Mora, I think in terms of his because if you look at the age that João Felix come on the scene as well, was roughly around the same age as what Mora is now. So I think he could be the next João Felix kind of emerging talent from Portugal. So Shami says, where do you think Højlund will end up? Hopefully in the bin, because listen, for those of you that have been watching my channel for any amount of time, for me, Erling Haaland, Rasmus Højlund is the worst striker in the league. He is. I'll go as far as saying he will struggle to start for some championship teams. He's that bad, because I look at Ipswich that got relegated. Obviously, Liam Delap's gone now, but they got a striker called George Hurst, who's now in the championship. Yeah. Højlund's not better than him. That's how bad Højlund is. And again, I don't see too many people talking about this, because I hear a lot of people get onto Andre Onana, and again, Onana hasn't been great. But if you used to ask people who's a bigger problem, Onana or Højlund, I think people will tell you Onana. For me, it's Højlund by far, because Højlund cost 72 mil. You know, he cost 72 million, and his return is 4 league goals. You know, but yet there doesn't seem to be too much talk about that. You know, but if we're putting the league goals to the side because we know his shit, his hold up play, his game understanding, you know, his link play, just his overall quality just isn't there. You know, but yet, you know, you hear too many people saying he hasn't had any help. If that was Anthony Martial, this crap wouldn't be spoken about, you know. And let's not forget Anthony Martial, yeah. Anthony Martial moved to Man United when he was 19. In his first season under Van Gaal, yeah, he scored 17 goals in all comps. Yeah, 17 goals in all comps. You know, and yet this guy was deemed as a flop by many people. You know, he was deemed as a flop, and he done that at 19. Rasmus Højlund is what, 21? And the guy's got 4 league goals. You know, his first season, you know, he got a couple of goals. I think he got 10. Did he get 10 league goals or something like that? But second season, you're meant to get better, you know, and he got 4 league goals. Like, that just tells its own story, let's be honest. But where do I think he'll end up? Hopefully away from the club, you know. He should be the first casualty. Him, Garnacho. I wanted Bruno gone as well, but again, Bruno's obviously staying, which to my annoyance. But yeah, I don't care where he ends up, Shami, but it needs to be out of the club. That's what I will tell you. Loan deal, permanent, whatever. Just get him out. Get number 9 off his back as well. That's what I want. So game. Rodrigo also has like 15 goal contributions. Yeah, listen. As I said, man, don't worry about the goal contributions. Just look at the quality of the player. You know, because Rodrigo makes any team better. That's what I will tell you. You know, and as I said, if he's available, you're going to get all the top teams in for him. You know. As I said, Man City, Chelsea, Bayern Munich for me are the ideal teams for him to go to. Possibly Liverpool as well. But yeah, he's definitely a top player, man, and we'll have a lot of suitors for him. You know, no doubt about that. So Shami says, how do you think Fatty's loan spell at Monaco will be? You know what? Yeah, I've spoken about Fatty before, and for me, Ansu Fati for me. You know, obviously before Lamine Yamal, you know, was the golden boy for Barcelona. There's a reason why Barca gave him number 10 when Messi went, because they believed in him, you know. And again, let's not forget that Fati made his debut at 16 for Barca, and he was the youngest goal scorer in Europe for Barca as well at 16, before Yamal broke it, obviously. So it's a shame that he's obviously, you know, his career's kind of gone the way that it shouldn't have gone. I think Fati's what, 22 now, you know. And what was actually weird is that I actually talked about this. I think he signed a new contract before he went on loan to Monaco. But the thing is, what I see the other day is that he's actually there's actually an obligation to buy for Monaco, and I think the obligation is something like 9 mil. You know, which I'm surprised at, really, because I do think Ansu Fati for me, I do think he's got the capabilities to be a top player. But yeah, it's just a shame, man, that he's had to go to Monaco. And again, if he does produce at Monaco, does he go back to Barcelona? I don't know, because this obligation that's in place, if he does well at Monaco will just activate it. So it's more or less him leaving Barcelona, I would say. You know, and again, if he doesn't do well at Monaco and he comes back, they might send him out on loan again, or he might not even get another chance. So it's kind of a tricky one for him, because I rate him highly, but yeah, he's injuries, loss of form have killed him, and yeah, obviously he's gone to Monaco. But with him and Pogba there, you know, I expect Monaco to, you know, I think PSG will definitely win the league again, but along with Marseille, I think Monaco can challenge Marseille for that second place, you know, with Pogba and Fati there. You know, you got Lamine Camara as well in midfield. They've got a few other players that, you know, I think Salisu, the centre-back, might still be there as well, formerly of Southampton. You know, they've got some good players there. So I believe they'll be fancy himself to get second place for me. You know. Yeah, big up Flawless. Yeah, 100%, bro, man. We're gonna reschedule. But yeah, big up for the raid, man. But yeah, I said, yeah, we'll definitely reschedule when he's free, man. 100%. So Shami says, I forgot Malacia even plays football. Listen, I think Malacia won the league last season with PSV when he went there on loan. So yeah, as I said, man, I wouldn't mind Malacia to stay, but obviously the reports today that those 5 players want to go. You know, if they want to go, man, then we have to just get rid of them and get the money in. You know, so Shahina Freedy says, I think Rodrigo will get 10 to 15 in the Premier League. This was his average at his time in the Liga. Yeah, listen, if he goes to a Man City, Liverpool, who on average dominate the ball the majority of times against any team, then yeah, you'd expect. I think 10 to 15 Premier League goals. I think for a player of his quality isn't a lot, you know, because you got to look at it as well. These teams create chances, you know, and if you're playing in one of the dominant teams, getting 10 to 15 goals shouldn't be a surprise, you know. But a player of his level, man, definitely can definitely do that. You know, I don't see no reason why he can't. You know, so yeah, I'll be watching him, but I'm hoping Rodrigo does leave Real Madrid for the sake of his career, because as I mentioned earlier, you know, not because he's not better than Vinny and Mbappe, because he is as a talent, but those two have got a bigger status in the game than him. And again, with Xabi Alonso's 3-5-2 system at Leverkusen, he played Adli, who's left-footed, and Goulet, and obviously Franco Mastantuano, who they've just signed, fit the profile better. So for me, Rodrigo has to move on, because not because he isn't good enough, but it's because there's other things in play, and a player of his quality can't be on the bench, you know. So I'm hoping that he does move on. Where he goes to, I'm not sure, but there will be definite takers for him, man. 100%. Big up to Tabraze Shamsi. So how do you think about Nico ditching Barca and signing a 10-year deal? Yeah, listen, I spoke about that earlier, Tabraze. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. I don't understand why he signed a 10-year deal, because there's a release clause in there. So even if he signed a 2-year deal and the release clause was there, if any team wants him that badly, just pay the release clause. But for him to sign a death row contract of 10 years, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And he's kind of thrown his career away, because he has to now hope that that these other teams come in for him. Because if he has a loss of form, you know, Bilbao are just going to redirect him to the buyout clause, you know, and he's now snookered himself, because it's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money for it's a lot of years to commit yourself to that club. And I thought he had bigger aspirations than that, because going to Barca would have propelled his career even further in terms of his playing style as well. But signing that 10-year contract is madness, man. Absolute madness. But who knows, man? Big up to Lewis. Yeah, big up Lewis, man. Big up for coming on. Guys, make sure, man, you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if it's your first time in there. So Lewis, man, this channel isn't just solely about Man United. Obviously, I'm a Man United fan, but any other teams you want to talk about, you know, I'm well versed in any other team that we want to discuss. So yeah, it's a football channel. I wouldn't say solely focused on Man United, you know, but yeah, big up for coming through, man. Yeah, as Sham said, man, it's a football channel. Big up to Salman as well. Salman says, do you think Harvey Elliott will be a starter for England in the future? You know what? I'll have to be honest. I like Harvey Elliott. I think he's a very good player, but I don't think he'll be a regular starter for England, because the competition there is mad. If you think of where he can possibly play for England, you know, obviously Harvey Elliott, central midfield as a 10 or on the right. If we start off in the 10 position, you know, there's competition there. You know, you've got Morgan Rogers, you've got Bellingham. Why they're playing him there, I'll never know. Why he's playing full stop, I don't understand, because I don't rate Bellingham. But you've got the likes of Eze, Morgan Rogers, even Gibbs White, Cole Palmer, you know, Foden. All these players can play as a 10. Cobby can play there, I believe, as well. You know, you've got all these players battling for that position. If you look on the right, obviously you got Palmer, Saka, even Jared Bowen as well. You know, Foden can play out there. There's other players. There's probably other players coming through. Tyler Dibbling, I think, is going to be in the future. Very good player. So I think you have to look at these things and think, yeah, these players might be ahead of him in the future. So he's going to have to be starting regularly for his club, which might be away from Liverpool. So, yeah, I think he's good enough to be in the squad, definitely. But to say he's going to be a regular, I'm not so sure, because competition there is high. And as we know with football, a lot of it is based on politics as well. So, yeah, I don't believe he's going to be a regular starter. But I think he'll be in the squad for sure, man. Yeah, big up, Gamer. Guys, I'm going to go to a few of your comments. Sorry, I'm going to finish off what I'm saying quickly, and then I'll go into a few of your comments before we wrap. So, Matthias Cunha, guys, I think you guys probably have seen it already on Flawless's channel, but Cunha has taken a number 10 shirt. And again, that, you know what? I would have to applaud Ineos, Jason Wilcox on that, because what they've done there is basically tell Rashford, look, you're going, because they've taken his number and given it to Cunha, you know. And I think we have to applaud things like this from Ineos, because Ineos could have easily said, you know, we'll wait to sell Rashford before giving Cunha his shirt number. But with Rashford still being there, obviously the reports that him and a few others want to go, they're just given Cunha's number 10 shirt to Rashford's 10 shirt to Cunha. And for me, I respect that, because you're letting the player know where you stand, and there's no cross wires. So Rashford now knows he needs to get out, you know. And Cunha taking the 10 shirt, new number 10. Yeah, I respect it, man, 100%. And as I said, I think it's a good sign from the club, you know. And I think a lot of people don't really trust Ineos. I think so far from what I'm seeing from Ineos, you know, we have to remain optimistic, because they are doing the right things from what I can see, man. And long may it continue, definitely, you know. So yeah, just gonna go through some of your chats, guys, before we wrap. But as I said, big up to each and every one of you coming through and interacting in the chat, definitely. So Salman says, how many GA do you think Ahmad will get in this season? Again, I don't like this 3 at the back system. You know, I'm a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 advocate. But I think in this system with Ahmad, I mean, you got to think with the wide forwards in Cunha and if Mbeumo comes, I do believe Ahmad will get a few more assists and goals. So I'm going to say, how much did Ahmad get last season? Because I think I can see Ahmad getting, or I would expect a minimum of 15 GA goals and assists combined, minimum. I think he can get more, but I think minimum 15 GA. I think Ahmad's more than capable of doing that, in my opinion. So I'm gonna say minimum of 15. Yeah, definitely. Minimum of 15. Cunha. Well, how much did Cunha get for Wolves? Because, you know, if we're looking at him getting, I think he definitely got over. I think he got over 15 GA for Wolves. You know, I'd expect him to carry that on and get more. But again, Man United's team isn't set. I think the Cunha signing is a good start, but we have to see what they're going to do with Mbeumo, if that gets over the line, which I do think it will. And guys, again, I want people to realize that Man United don't desperately need a striker. They don't. You know, you've got Joshua Zirkzee there, And if anyone knows how football works, yeah, if you've got wide forwards in Cunha and Mbeumo, you don't need a goal scoring striker, because you have to think, if you've got wide forwards, who's going to facilitate the goals, the play, so the wide forwards can thrive? It doesn't mean getting a Gyökeres in and then Gyökeres, Mbeumo, and Cunha are going to get 30 goals each. That's not going to happen. Someone's going to miss out. And if you've got two wide forwards there that get numbers, your number 9, like a Xerxes, has to facilitate the attack in terms of linking the play, in terms of getting his fair share of goals and assists as well. So this whole United need a striker, they don't. Maybe if if Cunha and Mbeumo wasn't coming in, and there was creators there, United probably be looking at a goal getter. But the fact that they've got Mbeumo looking like he's coming through, hopefully, and Cunha there now, just restore Xerxes to being a striker, and then get rid of Højlund. You've got Mbeumo and Cunha that both can play as a 9 as well, and just go and spend the money on Carlos Baleba for me. That's what needs to happen. That's what should happen. But yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? But I think Cunha can get 50. I think Cunha, I'll say 20 for Cunha, 20 GA as a minimum. 15 for Ahmad, 20 for Cunha, 20 for Mbeumo if he comes through. I think that'd be more than enough, if I'm honest. So yeah, Ahmad got 12 and was injured. Yeah, exactly. So 15 should be the minimum for him, in my opinion. So Salman says, do you think the promoted teams will get relegated again? I do, and I said that before. I think the gap between the Premiership and the Championship is getting even bigger in terms of the money. So as you can see, the 3 teams that got promoted all went back down. So, and I can see that being the same thing. I think in terms of being better equipped, I think Burnley have shown that their defensive record, might be something to look at. But obviously, coming into the Premiership is a different kettle of fish to the Championship. And yeah, I think definitely I'll go as far and say as I think they might be the best team equipped to sustain themselves in the Premier League. But other than that, not too sure. Not too sure. I do think all 3 teams will go back down. Yeah, listen, Zedra, I've seen it, man. Yeah, Madueke, man. As I said, let Arsenal do their thing, man. Madueke, Sesko, Norgard. I think Norgard's a decent signing, but Madueke, Sesko, let them crack on with that, man, because that team ain't serious. They're not serious. But guys, listen up. First and foremost, man, big up to Flawless for the raid. Big up to everyone coming through as well. Big up to all the mods. Big up to Exedra as well. Big up to Sham, Reluctant Gaber. Big up to Daniela, to Barbara, to DXR. Yeah, big up yourselves for coming through each and every time. And as I said, guys, if it's your first time in there, and you enjoy the content and you want to see more content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as I said, make sure you smash that like button. Obviously, help the channel to grow. And yeah, again, big up to Flawless for the raid. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna go back to my so if you check out my playlist, I've been doing a next gen 50. So it's the best 50 young players in football. A lot of them are under 21, I believe, or 20. And so I've got some pre-records coming out tomorrow. So yeah, there's four players that I'm gonna do. There's a certain one of Arsenal, which I think is getting rave reviews. I think a lot of you might know who that is. But yeah, so keep an eye, guys, tomorrow for the pre-records coming out. And I should be live as well at some point tomorrow. But again, make sure you check my schedule. If there's any news breaking, then yeah, I'm going to react to it. But as I said, big up to yourselves for coming on each and every time. Make sure, guys, you subscribe and make sure you smash the like button. And as I said, yeah, check out my other content and tell me what you think. And again, if there's anything you guys want to know football related, make sure you put that in the comments after the stream. And as I said, yeah, big up to each and every one of you coming through. And I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.